Alright, so welcome. Today I'm going to show you guys how to play the Ancient World. Now this is a really cool worker placement game. As you can see, there's something ginormous in the background on the board, right? Well, that's called a Titan. And in this Ancient World, people are trying, as a player, you're trying to build a nation, a civilization. But it's not easy, because these titans come, they're ginormous monsters. They come and they stomp on your civilization. They destroy it, all right? And so you want to build a vast army to basically keep these titans at bay, defeating them in the process, of course, but also attracting more citizens, more people to becoming citizens in your civilization. Now, the objective of the game is obviously to defeat titans, because if you don't defeat the titans at the end of each round, they're going to attack your civilization. So, for instance, every player gets to start with this player board here, okay? And every player will start with their own unique Titan, okay? And so if you are the Unearthers of Umnock, now, or simply the blue player, because this is the blue player here, if it's your first time playing, they recommend that you play the player board on the opposite side. The name of the player board isn't on the opposite side, so that's how you can tell. But the really cool thing I think I really love about this side is not only is this player board different from all the others, not only do they have a really cool name for their civilization, but they also each get their own special ability if you're playing on this side of the player board. And the special ability is pretty cool, and they're all different on all the player boards. So that's another thing that makes playing with each of these different player boards special. Not only do you have a unique monster that you have to deal with yourself, unless, of course, somebody else comes along and helps you defeat it. So this one here, the Frost Wolf, okay, this monster, this Titan, is going to destroy your civilization if you don't take it out at the end of the round. So that's something you're going to want to do. But if you do manage to defeat the Frost Wolf, at the beginning of the next round, another Titan will, of course, come and take its place. Even more powerful than that one. And so, obviously, it's a never-ending cycle of Titans coming and destroying your hard work building a civilization. So yes, you want to build a civilization. You want to have various different types of buildings in your civilization, maybe statues and things like that. And they do grant some abilities, and they have a few other things. They also have banners on them. But the Titans, they will have more banners on them. As you can see, this Frost Wolf has this nice little wave symbol of a banner, okay? This indicates a particular tribe. There's 5 different tribes and 5 different colors in this game of the Ancient World. And so you're going to want to try to obtain as many of these banners in each color as you can. And the majority of the banners, like you'll sometimes get up to 3 banners on a particular Titan. You're not likely to get that with the buildings, though. So if you defeat more Titans than your opponent does, you're going to have more banners, and thus possibly more points than them at the end of the game. And let me show you the score let me show you the score pad to prove that point. So I played this game against Manta the last time, okay? I defeated more Titans than him, and I still beat him by 4 points, okay? In fact, I had 6 of this type of banner here, which gave me a maximum of 22 points, okay? He didn't come even close to 22 points on any one of his banners. But he also only defeated, I defeated at least 3 more Titans than he did. So you're definitely going to want to increase your military, okay? So that way you can take on as many Titans as possible. Because each round, these militaries here, they're going to be utilized, and you're only going to be able to utilize each military card you have once per round. So, for instance, in order to defeat the Frostwolf, which you can easily do, because in order to defeat the Frostwolf, you are going to need a combination of arrows and swords in the combination of 3 in order to defeat the Frostwolf. And if you do so, you have exactly what you need right here. This one and this one. But then that means you have no more military, which means you can't fight other Titans that round. And when I say they get stronger, you're going to need more military to take on Titans in round 2 if you manage to take this one out in round 1. But of course, if you don't deal with it before the end of the round, it's going to destroy your civilization for sure. So you don't want that either. Of course, if you do manage to have enough, a combination of swords and arrows for the Frostwolf, and it's different for each monster. Some can only be defeated by arrows, some can only be defeated by swords, some require like 12 of a combination of 12 swords and arrows. So obviously 3 is no match for something you would need 12 for. So when you do manage to defeat a Titan, you're going to have to roll these die as well. You see, when you have this Titan here, the Frostwolf, you'll notice it has 1 banner on the card. So when you have enough attack, meaning you have enough military you've utilized to attack the Frostwolf, you're going to have to roll 1 die per banner. So we have 1 banner here. So you'd have to roll one of these Titan dice, I guess you could call them, or Titan attacking dice, okay? And if you defeat more powerful Titans, they're going to have possibly 2 or 3 banners on them, and so you'll have to roll 2 or 3 dice, okay? Now here's the problem. When you roll this on the Titan dice, it will actually end up causing damage to your civilization. You'll have to flip over one of your Empire cards here, okay? And everyone starts with 2 Empire cards. They start with the wheat fields, and they start with the fishing dock, okay? So you would have to turn over one of these cards if the Titan dice was rolled. And then you would flip it over and you would lose your wheat field, okay? Eventually, you're going to have to obviously rebuild buildings that you've lost, and that's going to happen quite a bit. And there's an action that lets you do that, and there might be some other ways to do it too. But you don't want that to happen at all possible. So if you don't defeat the Titan, the Frostwolf, it's going to do it anyways, okay? It's going to attack you anyways. If you do defeat it, it's still going to attack you, but you get cool stuff for defeating it, okay? With the Frostwolf, you'll get extra money each round. So at the beginning of each round, you'll get extra money, which you want to build buildings, obviously. And you also get this nice little banner, which will help give you victory points at the end of the game. So you definitely want to defeat him as soon as you possibly can. Now, you can also appease monsters as well. So, for instance, if you have Ambrosia, and the Ambrosia tokens are really, really cool. Okay, Ambrosia is like a type of awesome, delicious nectar, I guess you could say, or food. And anyways, if you appease the monster, meaning if you can't defeat the Titan and you don't want to receive the damage that round or year or whatever you want to call it, you can give these Ambrosia tokens to the Titan, okay, to avoid damage. And obviously you would have to give 1 Ambrosia, I think it is, per banner they have, okay? And then you just put the Ambrosia token on the Frostwolf here, for instance, okay? To appease the Frostwolf so it doesn't attack your civilization. Okay, now another thing that could possibly happen, you could roll this coin, these 2 coins on this dice as well, and when that happens, for the Frostwolf, for instance, you're going to lose a coin. But lots of other things can happen too. So if you get one of these, you may not necessarily lose a civilization card or an empire card, but you might lose something else for sure, something you have. Of course, if you don't have any coins when it says lose a coin, you don't have to worry about it, because you don't have any coins to lose anyways. But, still, that's something to note. And then if you're lucky enough, one of the sides here is blank, meaning if you get lucky enough to roll this side, then nothing happens at all, so you lucked out. But it's only on one side of the dice, okay? Only on one. So the chances are still very slim that that will be rolled very often. So you can't rely on the possibility of that too often, okay? So you definitely will be getting tacked a lot. You definitely will have your civilization, your empire, destroyed piece by piece, and you will be rebuilding your empire as well. So that's going to happen. So yes, you're going to want to collect as many banners as you can, and this is the best way you're going to score points. So that's the objective, okay? Trying to collect as many banners as possible by either defeating titans and or building a civilization, a big civilization. But there's no point in building a big civilization if the titan is just going to destroy it. So of course you're going to want to take out the titans as well, one by one, because after all, they get stronger as you play the game. Okay? Now there are some ways you can get minus points as well. If you have a bunch of cards that are flipped face down, meaning they're in ruins, that's going to be a -1 point at the end of the game. If you have civilians in your town that are starving to death, that's going to be a -2 points, because you also need 1 food per citizen you have in your civilization. So you notice right here, each player will start with 3 citizens, and these are your workers, okay? This is a worker placement game after all. So you're going to send them to a location on this big board here, which you can barely see fully, to do something for you, okay? But in order to do that, they have to be fed. They have to have some food, you know, some sustenance beforehand. And each player board allows you to start with 1 food. Here's the food symbol on the player board, okay? So even if your wheat fields are stomped out and your fishing docks are taken over by some sort of squid monster or something, and you have no buildings there, no anything left of your empire, right? You'll always still at least have 1 food. But if you're spending around and you only have access to one of your workers, you're not going to be able to do much that turn. So obviously you don't want that to happen. So you might want to try to obtain some buildings or even defeat some titans as well that will obviously give you extra food. So you're definitely going to want to do that, okay? And there are other ways as well of getting food as well. And even though you start with only 3 civilians, you can have a maximum of 5 civilians in the game. And we'll talk about how you can obtain more of them later, okay? But that's one of the things to note, that you're definitely going to want to make sure that everyone is fed well. Another thing that you'll notice on this player board is this number 5 here. That's money. As you can see, every player actually starts with 6 money. Every player will start with 6 money, and if you're playing with a certain amount of players, you might get more extra money at the beginning of your turn, etc., for the beginning of the game. But after the first round is over with, depending on how much money you get is going to depend on how much money you're producing, okay? So you're going to start on 5. So if you don't defeat any titans or build any empire cards in your civilization, the next round you're only going to get 5 money. But if you do manage to at least defeat the Frostwolf, okay, you're going to put this titan over here underneath your player board with just the banner and the benefit of defeating the titan visible. And the benefit is this cube here that's on the 5 will now go to the 6, and that means at the beginning of the next round, and there's 6 rounds by the way, the beginning of the next round you're going to be producing 6 money instead of 5. And there are other ways you can increase that, of course, as well. But Titans is one of the ways for sure. Now, another thing you'll also put up here besides Titans is up here above the Titans location, you're going to put districts as well. And we will talk about districts later, but that's something else that could give you some benefits as well that can go here. And the reason why I bring that up is your empire is contingent on how much space you have for your empire. Every player, you'll notice here, there's a number 4 here, okay? And let's see if I can bring it closer for a moment. You'll notice it has a house, okay, on the 4. The 4 is on a house. That's your empire. You'll also notice it's also here, but with no number. But this cube will actually start on the number 4, meaning that your empire can only have a maximum of 4 cards in your empire currently. So you're going to want to increase your empire size, obviously. You're going to want to do that. Right now, you're occupying 2 spaces in your empire, so you only have room for 2 more, okay? But one of the ways you can do that is by getting districts, okay? Which you can't really see in the screen because it's all the way up there. And we will talk about districts later at some point. But obviously, you're going to want to get a district card, which will also increase how much room you can have in your empire. And so that's what this cube is for. Once you get a new card that changes this equation, either the empire or how much money you're producing, you will use these cubes as a reminder of how much you're actually producing, so you don't have to spend a few minutes looking at all your cards trying to figure out how much you're supposed to get at the beginning of the round, because this will just tell you, oh, I've got my empire currently at 6 right now, and I've got 4 cards in my empire, so I only have room for 2 more. Okay, and then my cube is currently at number 8, so that's how much money I get at the beginning of the round. It's as simple as that. So that's why you want to, when you get a new card, whether it be a Titan or building or whatnot, to take care of the corresponding amount right away. And that could fluctuate, because after all, if it's on a building card and your building gets destroyed, then this could go back down again. So that's something to note, that you're going to be moving these cubes here quite a bit throughout the course of the game. But the cool thing is, when a Titan does come to destroy your civilization, you get to choose which one you're going to lose. You're like, let's see here, which one should I lose? The fishing dock or the wheat fields? Well, fishing dock it is. So you get to choose. So that's nice. So you don't have to, you get to at least choose what you're going to lose, of course. So that's a nice plus, at least, because sometimes there might be a building that you're like, I don't mind if I lose that one, actually. Not right now, anyways. It doesn't do me any good anyway. So that's something to note. Okay, so I explained the basics of the game, the objective of the game, and we actually will probably go over some other stuff in the next video to explain some more interesting stuff about this game, because there's lots to explain.